Hello, David here, and the project for today is replacing the oil pan gasket, and I'm going to start with describing the car. It's a 98 Ford Contour 2.5 liter V6 with a manual transmission, and I'm going to start with removing the water pump pulley cover, which has three 7mm bolts here, here, and here. See right here, that's the engine lifting hook. We got to go below and take off the exhaust pipe. That's from here out to there. Put some penetrating fluid on there. These are going to fight you because they're going to be real rusty from the heat. So what you want to do is just wiggle them back and forth and just kind of finesse them off. I don't like using an impact because it's going to break them. These were off not that long ago when I took the, need a deep well socket. These were off not long ago when I did the alternator job, so that's why they're easy to come off. Plus I'm not in the rust belt. Oh, that one's not even 15mm. This one's 15. Let's get another. I've got the white pipe off. It's pretty easy to get off. There wasn't much rust. Don't forget you have to disconnect this oxygen sensor line. Move the negative battery terminal. You're going to remove the heat shield for the air conditioning compressor. Two 10mm nuts. Strange thing about the Haynes manual, it says on reassembly to refill the radiator, but on disassembly it says nothing about draining the radiator. I'm looking at the lower radiator hose and there's not much slack in it, so if I raise the engine probably an inch or more, it's going to pull on the radiator hose. So in the event that I do have to drain the radiator, the drain cock is right above this little radiator support. So I'm going to make a preemptive strike, remove these 10mm bolts, to see if I could have clear access to the drain. When I used to refill the cooling system, I just used to let the petcock just run around this thing and it just splash all over the place. See if I can get this piece out of here. There we go. Screws back so I don't lose them. That's a drain right there. I did decide to drain the coolant due to the tight fit of the lower radiator hose. Also disconnected the lower radiator hose. There's just no slack in it. Next I'm going to drain the engine oil. I need to remove this through bolt from the motor mount, right there. Next motor mount is right here. There's 2 bolts in there. I marked them with my pink fingernail polish because they're supposed to be marked to get them back in the same place. Those are 15mm bolts as well. Okay, so here's the setup. I got my engine support bar. I got a small floor jack on the engine support bar, and I have this old seat belt. And the seat belt is looped around the engine mount. Let's get in closer. See if I could slip a piece of wood under there to support it, just in case things fail. I don't know how high I'm supposed to be lifting either. So 2x4, that's about 1 3/4 inches, I guess. So now I got the weight sitting on the wood, so I feel safer. If I need to go higher, I could try to get it jacked higher and put this piece of wood under there. Oil pan bolts are 13mm. These 2 that hold the exhaust hanger are 10mm. Last bolt. So that answers the question. 1 3/4 inches is enough of a drop. Actually, that 2x4 that's holding the engine up is only 1.5 inches, so that's all you need to get the oil pan out, is to lift the engine in 1.5 inches. I'm looking at the inside of the oil pan and it looks pretty clean. This is what changing your oil religiously every 3,000 miles does for you. There's no gunk in here at all, but I don't see the oil drain. The oil drain is here. It looks like there's some type of tray on the bottom, and I think to clean it off I'm going to have to remove the bolts holding this tray down to get a good cleaning on that. Here's the old gasket. Don't really see any failure in here. Could be, did it get brittle? No? It's still pliable. It broke here. There's a seam on the engine block that you're supposed to put some RTV in there. You can see the RTV over there. So it kind of came apart when I was pulling the gasket out. I got to clean those surfaces really good. There are 6 8mm screws holding that tray down. Still not too gunky. Okay, now to clean this mess up. Oh, by the way, I did not see any Loctite on those screws, so I don't think they need to be Loctited. This aluminum is pretty soft, therefore I recommend cleaning the gasket mating surfaces on the oil pan and the engine. Use a scrap piece of plastic. You can even sharpen it. This will take off all the old gasket material. And I like to follow up with a Scotch-Brite. Then I clean it with some acetone and I get it nice and clean. The inside of the oil pan has to be spotless. You don't want any gunk circulating through the engine and wrecking the bearings. I'm using brake clean. You're not going to get every speck of dirt out of here, because if you try to wipe the inside with a rag, it's going to catch on all these little, I don't know what you call these little, almost like miniature BBs that will rip your rag. And that'll leave more junk inside the oil pan. So I'm going to leave it at that. Put this tray back in. Okay, prior to final assembly, I'm going to do a degrease on the oil pan and the engine block with some acetone, because I have to have some black RTV on the seam between the front engine cover and the block. So I want to make sure I get good adherence. Also, I marked 4 of the holes with red nail polish. Here are 2 of them, here and here, because 4 of the bolts have studs on top. One has a heat shield for the air conditioning compressor. The other one has a hanger for the exhaust pipe. Velcro gasket number 30697. This I'm going to degrease with some alcohol, because I don't know if acetone's going to ruin the rubber or silicone on this gasket. Here's the seam for the front cover and the crankcase right there and right there. You can see I got my RTV in place. Now I'm going to set the oil pan in place and start inserting the screws. The oil pan is in place and all the bolts are torqued down to factory spec. Time to lower the engine down on its mounts. I need to check the bottom mount, see if that's lined up. The bottom mount is not lined up. Okay, the stud is in the hole. the nut started. Just want to make sure it goes in straight. Torque specs is 75 to 102. Let's go for an even 90 pounds. 15 millimeter. Okay. This bottom mount gets torqued to 52 to 70 foot-pounds. Let's go at 65 foot-pounds. Since I filmed that last scene, I stepped on my camera and broke the camera. I had this Sony W290, and for a little pocket camera, it did a lot. It shot in HD. I was very happy with it. So I replaced it with a Sony RX100, so you might see a difference in picture quality and then sound quality. Hope it's better. Anyway, I've had 1,000 miles on the engine oil, and it's decided to put fresh engine oil in, and I put a fresh oil filter in. I only had 1 year on the coolant, and the coolant's good for 5 years. So I strained the coolant, tried using a coffee filter in a funnel, and that took all day. So here's a tip for you guys. You get some nylon pantyhose, put it over funnel, and this fills up the reservoir pretty quickly. While I was burping the air bubbles out of the cooling system, I noticed a leak in the reservoir right about there. It was just a crack in the plastic and it was weeping out of there, so I thought I could get some JB Weld on there and repair it, but the plastic's brittle. It's 21 years old, so I bought a replacement on Amazon. It was made by Dorman. I hope that lasts as long as the factory reservoir, but one never knows. It's been a week since the camera broke, so I've been driving the car around. It's been running great. There's no oil leaks underneath, which is the most important thing. The oil pan is dry, so I don't have to worry about dripping oil all over the place. I'm happy about that. So I'm going to wind up this video. That's about it. That's all I could think of. I want to thank you guys for watching. My coolant reservoir ought to be in next week, and I'll be able to fill up the cooling system and get any air bubbles out of there and top it off, and I'll be back on the road again. So once again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, hit that bell for more fantastic videos from davidgpo. Bye now. P.S. I'm guessing you guys want to see what that oil pan looks like. See how dry that is.